They start their day rolling out of bed half asleep, grabbing for their first cup of coffee before they're fully conscious. Seems normal, right? But what if I told you that caffeine addiction is not a simple one-step issue? There are many stages, some of which are harmless, and some of which are enough to cause worry. In fact, caffeine, the biggest consumed psychoactive substance on a global level, can impact your brain in ways you have never thought about. The drinking crescendo ranges from what they call social drinkers to energy drink-dependent users, and the 7-step progression of caffeine addiction is shown below. It is important to note that each of the stages has symptoms which can be as slight as dependency and as serious as psychological dependency. Thus, the question is, how can one determine if he or she is an outright caffeine addict or just in the middle of the caffeine addiction? Are you an occasional drinker or on your way to alcohol dependence? Hang around and listen to how we fit these 7 levels into your minds. The last one is a real twist. When we get to the end of this script, you will learn all about caffeine and substances so deep inside of you that you must wonder if it is really you behind the wheel or the caffeine. Level 1, Occasional Taster. At this stage, people take caffeine as a sort of luxury good. One may have coffee while chatting or order a latte once in a month with no intention of using it to get high. There is no tolerance developed by the body, and you will experience little rushes of energy without the need for cravings. Level 2, Casual Sipper. You have now added caffeine into your schedule. Maybe you take it 2 or 3 times in a week. Cup of coffee in the morning or some energy boost product like Red Bull, say, at work. In the process of developing the habit, one cannot talk of physical dependence as far as substance is concerned. But the brain begins linking alertness with caffeine and slowly leading you into dependency on this product. Level 3, Daily Consumer. Caffeine is the part of your day-to-day life now that you cannot do without it. As much as it is uncomfortable to even think about it, there is nothing like that first cup of coffee or tea in the morning. He adds that these symptoms are mild, therefore, they are likely to set in if an addict fails to use the drug for one day, and they include headaches and fatigue. The body develops dependency on caffeine to help him stay focused and active. Level 4, Functional Dependent. This level is where caffeine goes from being a variety that you can easily choose from to a variety you cannot do without. No longer is the single cup of coffee in the morning enough, and the cup is consumed several times a day. Headaches, mood swings, and problems with concentration set in when there's no caffeine. It has incorporated physical tolerance so as to need higher doses so as to get the same amount of energy. Level 5, Heavy Consumer. At this stage, frequent consumption of tea and soft drinks containing caffeine are vice-witnessed, and this is beyond that recommended daily allowance. Cans of energy, several cups of coffee, and potentially caffeine tablets could be the next thing on your list. Finally, sleep becomes disrupted, anxiety worsens, and caffeine dependence becomes quite evident. Level 6, Extreme Dependence. Here, caffeine decides on your emotions, performance levels, as well as your physical condition. If a caffeine consumer drops the beverage, he or she is not lacking a mild hangover. Instead, he or she gets pounding headaches, nausea, and sleepiness. You depend on caffeine to even function at a basic human level. This level may interfere with activities performed at the workplace, in families, and in one's general health. Level 7, Psychological Addiction. The severest degree of addiction to caffeine is not just a physical dependence on the product. At this point, you are addicted to caffeine, and therefore it defines you as a person. There are ways you might rationalize your overindulgence, telling yourself you cannot work efficiently if you do not binge. Further, health issues like palpitations, insomnia, anxiety, and more go through the roof, proving that professional help may be required. So, take a look in that mirror because it's time to consider where you are on the caffeine addiction scale. Do you just nibble on it, Or are you a gourmet who can't do without food? Or have you gone up to the level where the caffeine seems to be a necessity? No matter where you are, the key takeaway is this. As with industrial caffeine, commercial caffeine can be something to use and something to avoid. This adaptation means in many cases moderation is beneficial, but when it becomes the other way round, you are controlled. It is dangerous. As the day wears on, you may become lethargic or irritable if you do not have your morning cup of coffee, or worse, you may have physical withdrawal symptoms if you do not consume caffeine at all. Remember, knowledge is power. It is hoped that by becoming acquainted with the 7 levels of caffeine consumption, then people shall be in a better position to make the right decisions concerning their life. Warning: share this to your friends and see where your friends stand, because one can bet that somebody one knows might be addicted to caffeine.